Huh, they're only doing big ones. I knew that they were doing 2 big ones at a time. I thought they were still going to do the small ones. Like, they need to do small ones. Because then everyone just stays in the group and fights. Like, they really need to do small ones to, like, split and get people to try other shit. I fucking hate those pullbacks. It's so fucking annoying. Not really. I mean, I play my Honkai, I play my Genshin, both MiHoYo, and I've been playing Final Fantasy for ages. But I like RPGs in general, so that's why I play them. Yeah, this is still Final Fantasy 14. This is just the PvP mode. They have this series reward where if you just do PvP, any PvP thing, you can get points towards random stuff like random armor outfits and minions and stuff like that. So I'm just doing that, and then you can do a daily roulette, which essentially takes you in a random queue. So this is a three teams, but 3 teams of a lot of people. Shit. So it's 3 parties of 8 people each against 3 other parties of 8 people each. So it's it's a 3v3 type thing. With 3 parties on each side, 8 people each, so it's a 72-man free-for-all. But in this mode, it's all about destroying these big crystals. But you also get points for actually killing people. So you get points for death, for kills. You get points for actually killing the crystals. The crystals give a shitload of points, but it's not so much that you can't ignore the... yeah, somewhat. I'm not sure how... I mean, it's not even like a guild... I mean, it's kind of a guild war, in a sense, but it's not like as... Because in the game, there are these 3 factions just naturally. And so you just, depending on what initial class you pick, you get put into a certain faction. It doesn't really matter, you can swap at any point. Well, not at any point. You get to a certain part of the story, then you can choose to swap whenever you want. And that used to determine who you actually got assigned with. It used to actually matter. Whereas I'm not sure. I don't know how League of Legends actually works. But back in the day, whatever faction you were in, when you went into a PvP, when you went into Frontline, which is these 3 faction things, you can see the 3 factions at the very top of the screen. Back in the day, whatever faction you actually were in the game, that was the team you got put on. But what ended up happening is that just one team, Maelstrom, the red one, would have all these serious PvP people. So everyone who was good in PvP would be Maelstrom, the red guys, and so Maelstrom would usually win. But so then what they did to counteract that is they made it random. So I'm on the Flames team, the blue team, or the black team. You can kind of see in the top left corner of the map, that black flag. But I'm also the Flames, the blue thing. I have a little star next to our name in the top part of the screen. So my team is not my actual... I'm actually in... My actual company in the game is actually yellow. I'm part of the black... I'm part of the adders, so I'm actually in the yellow. But because they did the randomized, now it's a little more fair. Now there's not like just one good team, as it were. It's every team can be good, because even if all the good PvP players are on red in game, they still get randomized and split amongst everyone. But I mean, there's still a lot of luck to this, because obviously it's 72 people total. Yeah, the animations for a lot of these abilities are really cool, and they actually try to balance PvP in this game. So Ninja's actually pretty cool, because if they do their limit break and actually kill someone with their limit break, they can do their limit break again for free. So limit break's a very powerful attack. It usually takes some time to charge, but if a ninja can kill their enemy with that limit break, then they can really fuck them up. In fact, I got killed, so my health is like, so I have a little under 49,000 or 50,000 health. Well, what happened was a samurai came up to me, did their limit break against me, and practically just completely destroyed my health. I went from almost 100% to 0 instantly, because a samurai used their limit break on me. So it can get pretty crazy. And then, it's like every PvP thing. It's like, if you're... it's all about, like, having the most people. So if you have the most people on your... Shit, run away! So essentially, no matter what they try to do... Fuck, run away! Oh, fuck. God fucking damn it. Yeah, see, so I got basically gangbanged by this group of enemies. Got absolutely fucked. There's nothing really you can do. It's still a mob. More skill kind of matters in a one-on-one, but, some classes are just really tanky, so it takes a while to kill them, which gives them enough time to survive until their friends can come and back them up, so... And we're all in a hurry. We only have We only have 6 more minutes to do this. Yeah. Yeah, 7 had them. I think, I mean, you could say 6 kind of had it, because there was Terra's transform. 8 had them. I think 7 onwards really had them. Shit, so we're probably going to get 2nd place, because Maelstrom is just doing really well. But, yeah. But yeah, the actual PvP moves of this game are different than the normal moves. Way back when, that was not the case. Way back when, it was actually like whatever moves you had in the actual game, you brought those exact same moves that performed the exact same way into PvP. But it made it kind of crazy, because like certain abilities didn't really make sense, because like other tanks have a stun, but a paladin actually had an ability that was an off GCD stun, which means they could stun 24/7. Like all the other tanks had only a stun that had a 30-second cooldown, but a paladin had an ability, a shield bash, which could stun every single time. Now, it had diminishing returns, so like the first stun you did against an enemy was like 5 seconds, the next one would be 3 seconds, the next one would be 1, and then they'd be stun immune for a little bit. But in PvP like this, where there's shitloads of enemies, you could just like run up, stun one guy, move on to the next guy, stun them, and when they're stunned, you know, they would get destroyed. So it was kind of broken, and so it was really hectic. And like healers were really, really good. So what they did is they changed it so that now instead of every class just bringing their abilities into the game, they redesigned it. So if you go into PvP, you have your own unique abilities specifically for PvP. Yeah, it's more confusing than it is. It seemed more confusing because, like, obviously I know what I'm doing, so I'm just booking it, and I know what the mode is. It's destroy the crystals. Basically, the score at top is telling you, you know. So Maelstrom's going to win. They're like almost 50 points away from just victory. They just need 50 more points. Well, 63 more points. Oh, there they go. They won. So they won. So that's a shame. It's kind of how it is. Either you're put on the winning team or you're not. I was not this time. But basically, if you were... So I'm max level, but technically you can actually get actual experience to level your class doing this as well. Since I'm max level, I get none of that. But then there's the PvP experience, which doesn't really matter. And then the Seers experience is what I'm doing this for. I don't know if I got 0 because I'm capped or whatever, but anyway, you can see in my team, I did 2 kills, died 4 times, 15 assists, did almost $500,000 to other damage to other players, 1.5 million to the other, which is those crystals, which is how you get most of your points. So I did one of the highest damage dealing per people to crystals. But it seems like the red team just had a lot of good people, and they focused on maybe killing people. That's why they won. But I try to do this once a day. So back in the day, I guess technically, okay, so there are bonuses for winning. The number of, so I'm doing it for series experience, but you also get like experience too. Where's my PvP? So right now my series level is 22. I need 7,500 total, but I only need almost 1,000 more to get to the next level. So if I am in 3rd place, I would typically get less. 2nd place gets slightly more, and 3rd place gets more. I think back, it used to be like, might have been like 1,000, 1,500, and 2,000, depending if you're first, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. But then what they did is, and that was the only way you could get experience, just by playing the game. And Frontline Roulette was just an easy way to automatically queue with people. But now they're actually giving series experience just for using the Frontline Roulette in addition to the stuff you get from whatever place you are. So now the series experience that you get from first, second, and third place doesn't matter as much, because almost like 50% of the series experience you get from the match are just a flat bonus, a flat participation fee for using the Frontline Roulette. But I think you only get that reward once a day, which is why I only do it once a day. But that's the, these are the rewards. You get these crystals. Crystals can be used to trade for like cosmetic armor. This is an emote, so if I got to Series 5, I can get a free emote. If I get to 10, I get these little framing kits. 10 and 20 give you these framing kits. 15 got you this little minion, and I'm aiming for this little thing. It is a complete costume. I can get for free if I just get to 25, which is not that hard. Basically, you have an entire patch's worth, I think, for your series. So I have between 6.5 and the next expansion to get to series level 25, so I have a few months to do it. Typically patches aren't that far apart, it's just because the next is the coming expansion, but usually you would have like 3 to 4 months or something to work on, to get your series experience to whatever if you want. And that was just like the free-for-all Frontline Roulette. So as you can see, that's Frontline Roulette. I got my reward, so if I did it again, I would only get the reward for first, second, or third place. Like 6 years, I think. Actually, wait, maybe longer than that. Maybe 8 years, actually. I think I might have started in 2015. But there's also Frontline Roulette is this big, 3 factions against each other, with 3 parties each, aiming for points. And there are actually different modes. It changes by the day. So here are the 4 frontline modes. This one was just shatter the crystals. So crystals will randomly go targetable, and you can shatter them for points. Small crystals get you 50. Big crystals get you 300, I think. This one is kind of a capture the flag mode. Flags will randomly appear throughout the map, and once they're targetable, then you can capture them. It takes you like 5 to 10 seconds to capture, and any attack on you interrupts it, so enemies can just fuck around. And I'd say I'm pretty good. I'm a relatively skilled person in general, and I've been playing it for so long, and I enjoy it. But I don't think I'm the most skilled. I'm not going to do the hardest of hard content. I could. I probably have the ability to, but I don't have the drive to. It's just it's a lot of effort, and the reward's not worth it for me to do the hardest content. So I like to collect mounts and minions, so I will do the Savage Raids when the next expansion comes out and our level increases and we get better equipment. I will go back and do the old Savages, the hardest fights from the previous expansion's raid tier, because then we can unsync it and take our characters who are 10 levels higher and clear it easier, so that I can just get them out. That's what I'll do. I won't do it when it's current, because that's a lot of time investment for something I just don't give a shit. I just only want them out, that's it. Yeah. And then that's just then this is the actual more PvP mode, this Crystalline Conflict, in which it's just 2 teams against each other, 2 teams of 5 fighting, pushing a crystal down a track. And to push the crystal down the track, you just got to stand inside the crystal thing, but it'll only move forward if only your team is in it. So even if you have 5 of your team members in the crystal, on top of the crystal, and just 1 enemy's there, the crystal won't move forward. So you have to kill the guy or get him out of the crystal, and then it will move forward. The ways to win are either push it to the enemy's goal. I mean, I'm pretty good. I have pretty good reaction times. I'm a smart person, so I learn quickly. So when I see a mechanic I can often intuit, like, so sometimes a boss will do a 180 degree cleave on their right side. When I see that, I'm just like, oh shit. What they're probably going to do is do a 180 degree cleave on their left side, because that's pretty common. You do a cleave on the right, cleave on the left. So when I see the cleave on the right go off, I move into the right to prepare for the cleave that probably is going to happen on the left. A little bit. Like, the music is really good. I listen to it all the time. And I think that's why there's kind of a meta, in a sense, for people to like to watch new players stream the game. So when, like, a new player comes to Final Fantasy XIV and decides to stream, they'll often have this inflated view count, because it's a bunch of people who have also beaten the game and also like the game, wanting to watch these people beat the game. We're waiting for the crystal to go. Once it's unchained, now we can move it. Yeah, so what this guy's doing is what's known as a dick move. Stupid, because he's the healer. The second he dies... Oh, goddamn. I'm clearly... See, that's bad luck. I only died because even though I was literally out of sight, the lag of the game is about like half a second behind, so... And so as we get further and further down the track, it's actually easier for the enemy because they spawn closer to where we're pushing. So it's all about quickly... Okay. So now what they're trying to do is trying to push it, but we're pushing. Got him. So we're absolutely fucking them up. And we won. So that's always nice to do when we absolutely crush them. But yeah, so that's the other PvP mode. Sorry I was a little less responsive there. This one you really have to actually pay attention to, because it's just 5 people on your side, so if you fuck around and are not paying attention, you could die and put your team in a bad spot. So, goddamn, 5 kills. I'm fucking awesome. Yeah, so our team's obviously crushing it. Well, so in this mode, we can't talk to each other, essentially. So we can only chat through these quick chats. So these are the only things we can say. We put these on our hotbar, and so we can say them quickly to other people. So we can't actually have free chat, which makes sense because obviously you don't want to like be distracted and die while you're typing something out. So obviously, because this is all we get. Now, obviously, you can like mark people. You can still mark people. Covering or attacking targets. So you could do this to indicate to your team members, hey, attack this guy, or do this. You can try to guide your team. But typically, most people don't chat. So what ends up happening is just it's all about luck on some level, because if all 5 members happen to be attacking one person, and we can kill them, there's like a 5 to 10 second, or I think it starts at 5 and then maybe goes up to 15-second recast on or cooldown before you can revived again automatically. So if you die more and more frequently, the cooldown before you can come back is longer. So what the enemy was doing is they were sending their healer. Their healer was like often like tanking all our hits. They were going on top of the crystal and trying to stop the crystal from being pushed forward. So they would go on top of the crystal and use their guard, which reduces their damage taken by 90%. But doesn't reduce it completely. So when all 5 members are all attacking, and the guard only lasts for like 5 seconds or so. So the second the guard ends too, not only were they taking slight damage while guarded, but once the guard's up, and they start taking full damage again, and when everyone's already targeting you, you die pretty quick. And so the healer was doing that a few times, where they kind of rushed forward and just died, which really screws over their team because now they don't have a healer. And just having one less person is always kind of a disadvantage, obviously. So it's all about but the luck element of it is, well, they only died because the healer died because we were all focusing on the healer and got them dead quick, and then we can move on to the next guy. And every now and then, I think you might have been able to see that someone had a little 1 above their head, indicating that they should be the priority target. And so people will focus on them. But the luck is, well, are your teammates going to focus on the same people you're focusing on? Like if I went off and only attacked one guy and all the rest of my team was attacking someone else, then I'm probably not going to kill the guy I'm focusing on. Yeah. But that's why it's like a 30-second cooldown and it only lasts for 5 seconds. So it's just kind of like an emergency, oh shit, maybe to buy time. It's often used in the crystalline conflict to just go onto the crystal. Like if the enemy's pushing the crystal forward, you run onto the crystal, use your guard, use safe, you lock the crystal down for 5 seconds, and it gives your team members 5 seconds to resurrect or run and back you up. It's really annoying. It really delays games and makes them take a lot longer than they typically do, which, it's annoying, but, whatever. Even though I complain about it, I've also used that strat too. But it is just, it delays games. But sometimes, those delays lead to big come-arounds. Like, I've had times where we're losing, we're heavily losing, and then we get a good push. Like, we wipe out the enemy team, and then we just keep pushing the crystal. And they res and then come back, but because we're like coordinated and with a little bit of luck, we're able to beat them up and keep pushing the crystal, and we win. So like I've had I can't remember the biggest coming around. Like, I think the enemy has been in like the 90% range. Like, where they're 90% of the way to our home base, and my team's able to come around and win. But it's super rare. Like, usually one of the reasons why the enemy's able to get that far is because they're really, really good. Shit. So it's not likely to win. Usually if the enemy, like, I kind of knew, well, not really knew, but I kind of suspected we were going to win because of how well we were doing. Like, we were killing them very frequently. We were continuing to push. The enemy only had one instance where they were able to push the crystal and didn't even get it past halfway. So, like, usually that means they're fucked. But you never know. But yeah, it's a lot of luck. It's just like, yeah, are you coincidentally attacking the same people that your teammates are attacking, therefore killing them and keeping them off the field for a little bit? No, it's been there since the beginning. It's been there since I've played the game 8 years ago. Not in the exact mode, so Frontline Roulette has always been there, but Frontline Roulette used to be just these two, I think. And I think they added that ages ago. Or maybe all three of these were here, but then this mode was added. And then they added Rival Wings, which is a really, really cool mode, but no one ever runs it, which is unfortunate. Except in certain special events when they reward bonus crystals for it, because you need 48 people total. It's 24 on one side, 24 on the other, and you're split into teams of 4. And your goal is to do a bunch of like tasks, like on. So basically, your goal is to destroy the crystals in the enemy base, and you do that by killing their mammoths, letting your mammoths run up, which are like puppets or robots, letting your little automated puppets run up to their base to destroy their protection crystals before you can then go and attack their base flat out. But also, you can get into big robots. So you can pilot these big robots that are in the game normally. Like, if you play through Heavensward, the robots that they have in Heavensward are also, like, raid bosses are now robots you can pilot. And one robot just has missiles, so it's really good against damaging buildings. One robot is really good against damaging people, but not buildings. And one robot is kind of it's pretty good against doing damage against both. But you have to be, only the team that's like losing badly can summon it. So it's kind of a Hail Mary type thing. Really cool mode. Anyway, and then they also had Crystalline Conflict, which is new. Like, they reworked it last patch. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the front lines are 72 people. It's 3 teams of 8 within 3 factions. So this is 72 people, but because there's a queue for it, there's a Duty Finder automated queuing system for it, it's easy enough to get people for this. But for Rival Wings, you have to queue for it separately. But there is a community, there are discords that try to get people to queue at certain times of the week. So like I think 6 p.m. on a Friday, people within that community will try to queue up and get groups. And when the game does these Moogle events, they'll reward Moogle tomestones for this as well. And this is actually a pretty easy way. It drives up interest because it's pretty easy to do. It only takes 20 minutes to do. You get Moogle tomestones, you get other tomestones, and there are 2 mounts tied behind this mode. If you get 100 victories in Rival Wings, you get 2 robot gorillas. Where are my robot gorillas? That's the regular one. Wait, here they are. There we go. Get this guy. And this guy. Now, the reason why they're the same is because, I don't know if you were noticing, but when you're actually looking at Rival Wings, there's actually 2 modes. This mode used to give you the black gorilla, but it was a different map, and it wasn't really that popular. I mean, So people will meme and complain about like the quote unquote spaghetti code of the game, saying, "Oh my god, the game has spaghetti code because there's lag and shit." The game operates kind of like on a half-second delay, somewhat, and that's why you can like snapshot damaging AOE's. Is guerrilla power. So you can. So some people who are used to ridiculously responsive things that happen instantly. Yeah, you won't get that. Like it'll be about like a half second or so, maybe less delay. So you'll do an attack and it might take you a little bit. Now, what the game does, it does stockpile actions. So if, for instance, I am casting my Ruin, the button that's flashing down there, if once it's almost done, I'm pushing this button, the server is logging that. So it'll immediately start casting the next Ruin. So you can get like a chain going where there's very little lag because they are doing, networking tricks like that to essentially pre-queue up your skills. So once it's kind of like once you're used to it. Like I know a lot of like WoW players complain because WoW is very responsive, and like you do an attack and it instantly happens. I mean, I don't play it, so I'll take their word for it. Whereas when you do it, there's a slight delay, and like when you see a AOE on the ground and you move out of it. So like for instance, you saw how I died in the previous Crystalline Conflict thing. I was like, how did I die? Like I'm clearly hidden behind cover. I shouldn't have been died. Well, that's because while it looked like I had line of sight, that was only because on the client side, my character is a little further ahead than what the server recognizes. So essentially I got sniped before I could get into cover, but because on the client side, I'm just moving whenever I'm moving. It moves my character first in the game, and then tells the server, okay, this character is moving this direction. So that's why I died, is because even though it looked like I should have been able to line of sight that attack, my character was actually a little bit further behind what I'm perceiving, and that's how I got hit. So there's stuff like that. It's generally not noticeable. You generally get used to it. But there are definitely some people who are like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like, I want, when I do an attack, to have it happen immediately. And if it doesn't, then the game sucks. And I don't think that way. And you definitely get used to it. Because there's definitely some cool things you can do knowing that. Like, there's a thing that's made easier with mods, but you can essentially slide cast within the last, few milliseconds of your, of a spell. Typically, when you're casting a spell, oh yeah, it's not that bad. But typically when you're casting a spell, it'll take some time to charge. It'll be a cast time. And let's say the cast time is 3 seconds. Well, at 2.8 seconds or 2.9 seconds, you can start moving. Because on the server end, you've completed the cast. So that's what's called slide casting. So from your perspective as a character on the client, your end, your character's still casting. But on the server end, you've completed the cast, and you can move. So slide casting is moving when the cast is almost done, and your character will still cast the spell and also be moving at the same time. So there's stuff like that. But generally, it's just you don't have to do it. The game's not so punishing where you have to slide cast everything. And then, of course, that's only for casters, obviously. Physical ranged classes. Physical range and physical melee can move while they attack. Same as tanks. Only healers and casters need to actually cast the castable spells. So only these guys and these guys. But there are some instant cast abilities too that you don't need to cast. Only some of your abilities actually need to be cast. Other ones can happen instantly, but instead they have a cooldown. So this has a cast time of 1.4 seconds. This is a cast time of instant, so I instantly do this, but I can only do it every 60 seconds. So every class is kind of a mix of that. You have combo-like abilities, castable abilities, and then instant abilities that operate on a cooldown. So as you see the cast bar, right now I could probably start moving right as it's completing, and it would still complete. But yeah, generally there's not too much lag because usually you're on like the same server that you are on. Like I mean, usually you're in the server within your same region, so your ping shouldn't be too bad. And I've had like people visit from like people play the game on North American servers, but they like live in Australia and they don't really like have like too big of an issue. Like they obviously are understandable that their ping kind of sucks, but they're not like super complaining about it. They're not like, oh man, this is absolutely terrible. Like I can't do anything at all. It's like no, they can still like do all the content that everyone else does. I've seen a lot of European streamers come to American servers to like for content and stuff. So. Well, like I mean, it's all in hotbar based, so it's not really a coordinate. But like, so like when I'm hitting this, it's logging that button press. It's like, oh, okay, I'm trying to cast Ruin 3. So if you're, I mean, let's see if I can get to a battle. Since I need to go here anyway. I'm not sure. I only ever play on PlayStation, so I don't know my ping. I've not noticed problems with it, but then again, I'm also not really a person who would complain. It's just I'm more fatalistic in a sense. I'm a it is what it is type person. So it hasn't negatively influenced me too poorly. So I've never really. Okay, let's go find something to kill so I can. Here we go. Okay, so how to spell. But because I'm like button mashing it, it's kind of preloading that spell. So on the server, it's already logged the next Ruin 3 because I button mash it. And you see, like I was moving while that spell was casting, that's slide casting. Mods make it, if you're on PC, you can get mods, even though it's not technically allowed, but you can do that to make it easy. So if you move right around here, see, I still cast even though I'm moving right before the spell is actually complete. Basically what the mods do is they put a little like red bar over at the end of the cast bar to let you know when it's safe to do that. But obviously I can do that too. So it's purely a skill. You're just kind of used to it. But I fucked it up too, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just slide cast, and then I'm like, whoops. I started moving slightly too fast and it interrupted my... So if I try to cast, it will interrupt it if I move. Hence the reason behind slide casting. So like, see, midway, yeah, I stopped. Interrupted, stopped. So that's about the length of server ping you'll get. Where it's like, yeah, that's the delay. That's the lag. Where it's just like slightly off. So it's not a crazy amount, but it won't ever stop people from complaining. And there definitely were. There was a not really a PvP thing, but there was a Fall Guys collaboration where it put 24 people in these Fall Guys style elimination rounds, and there were a few videos where you see two people running towards the goal, and they're neck and neck. Like, so obviously you're looking only from one person's perspective, and they seem neck and neck. And then the person gets to the or maybe even they're slightly ahead, and they think, oh, I got into the goal before this guy because I'm like a few pixels ahead. But well, you got to remember that you're a few pixels ahead on your client, and your character is always a few seconds behind, like not a few seconds, a few milliseconds, a few fractions of a second behind on the server. Your position on the server is not exactly where you see yourself on the client. There is going to be that little delay. So you see some people who are like pretty close, neck and neck. They think they're pulling ahead, but because where you're seeing other people is where they actually are in the server, because that's the server saying, yeah, this guy is at this location. Here you go. So you're seeing them at their actual position, but your position is slightly off. But typically there aren't really that many things that really matter that much, because like most of the stuff is PvE. So it's like fighting against bosses where all of your characters are trying to do stuff against an enemy, so it's more about avoiding enemies' attacks. But there are some funny problems that can arise when you have to like gather with other people, and you're like, oh no, this guy has a marker, I have a marker. Oh, okay, I'm going to go right, and then they follow you right, and you're like, God damn it, don't stop following me. But like from their perspective, it's the opposite, where you're following them. So there are some funny instances where two people are marked with an AoE that they cannot share. They have to, because it does too much damage. If they take two, they'll die, and because one of them doesn't like stop and go the opposite way, or sometimes both do, and they're like, oh shit, well if he's going to go right, I'll go left. But the other guy has the exact same thought, and they move left too, and then you both die. So there is that funny thing that lag can cause, because people think it's the other person following them when it could be the other way around. But generally that's like few and far between. Just look how pretty this place is. But yeah, the music in this game is amazing. Where the hell am I going? Oh, it's up there. There. So I would recommend, if you don't play the game, at least listen to the music, because they do a lot of pretty cool hype things. Like a lot of the music, like so every single boss has its own unique music. So we want to look at like here are the trial, what we call trials, which it's with the exception of these first three, which are part of the MSQ. Everyone afterwards is a 8-man thing where you fight against a big monster or creature or whatever. And typically, especially out of A Realm Reborn. A Realm Reborn was kind of the start, but basically every time after that, every single one of these bosses has their own unique music, and sometimes even they'll have two phases, and the difference in the music of the phase is different. Like, let's do this guy. Oh, wait. Actually, wait, let's do a class that can sustain myself a little better. And raids, too. So, like, those are what they're called trials. And so the trials are kind of like, you, as part of the main story, you fight normal versions of trials, and then once you beat the game, and the normal versions are pretty, are relatively easy. But then you fight but then once you get to the end game, there's an extreme version, which essentially is the end game fight. So while you fought this guy at a low level, as part of the main story, you now fight their max level for that expansion version, and beat them that way. And it's typically it's usually the same general fight, but the mechanics are much more punishing. There are more mechanics, so they're pretty interesting. And here's the phase transition. So obviously, yeah, there was that music first. That was just phase 1. And now phase 2. Okay, let's just fuck them up. You start? Yeah. Oh, there we go. I guess I probably could have killed him in that time. Anyway, so yeah, so the music in this game is really, really good, and those are just like the extreme fights. Usually have one, sometimes two tracks of music for each one. Each expansion has about 7 to 8 extreme battles. And those are just what we call trials. Then there's also the raids. And the raids are basically, for the entire expansion, it's a total of 12. But every alternate patch, every even patch, it releases a new raid. So when the next expansion comes out, we get the first raid, which is the first 4 fights. And then, so like 7.0 is the next current patch, so the next expansion. So 7.0 will get 4 fights. In 7.2, we'll get the next 4 fights. And in 7.4, we'll get the final 4. And there's an entire story that progresses as you're doing this. And so these are just the normal versions of the fight, which is what you do for just the story. And you can still get like tokens to get some gear. But the gear that you redeem with these tokens is not dyeable. But if you do the Savage version of the fight, which is obviously much more difficult and challenging, you can get the dyeable versions of that raid gear. So, nice little bonus for people who care about that. And then, there's just some people who just, are all about raids, who are all about the challenging fights. And I'm more of a ends justify the means. No worries. You missed it then. He missed the cool music. But yeah, I was showing off how there's this one fight, just one of these trials, one of these 7, has essentially two pieces of music associated with it. And this is just one expansion. So one expansion has 7 trials, each of which have like two pieces of music each. And then there are, I guess 5 expansions now? So I guess Heaven Sword, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker. So 4 plus the base game, and the base game has music for its trials as well. But they also did some weird stuff, so it's not all unique, and sometimes there's not 2 phases of it, but pretty much every patch onwards has 2-phase trial music. And then, of course, there's the actual raids, which have their own set of music and story and rewards and shit like that. So there is a lot of music and a lot of good shit. So even if you don't like the game, you'll probably like the music. Yeah. Like, they keep pumping out, they sell their music too independently, although what sucks is they sell them on these like Blu-rays. So it's like $50 for like 50 songs or something like that. Which I guess or like $50 for like 20 to 50 songs depending. So it's like, yeah, I guess per song it's not super bad. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of musicians that like this game. Husky by the Geek is relatively well known in the Final Fantasy XIV sphere, and you'll see him play covers of, not just Final Fantasy XIV, but other games as well. But so yeah, I think he just released one recently of a Final Fantasy one, but on YouTube. But yeah, and the composer is pretty cool. Like, I would recommend YouTubing Soken, Soken FanFest. because he like pretty much every time he goes on FanFest and plays a song, it's usually pretty memeable. So like, if you want to see the funniest one, it'd be Soken FanFest Lahee Lahee, but it's not. Without context, it's not as funny because essentially what he's playing is there's a song in the Shadowbringers expansion that is kind of like this, kind of iconic because of how interesting and it's kind of been it's memeable in and of itself. And essentially what he did is he sang that song, but absolutely terribly. Like, so you have this like woman singing it, and she's like, she sings really well, and he just kind of is really terrible, and he sings the entire thing while also using an automaton to play the music of the song. So it's really funny, but obviously like you kind of want to know the context of the original song, but in general you don't really need it because it's still funny in and of itself. But yeah, the guy's pretty funny. He has a lot of fun, and he's like the main composer of Final Fantasy XIV. I have Persona 5 Royale. I think I might even bought Persona 5 and Royale. I'm a sucker. I shouldn't have, but whatever. I should just wait, because like, the same thing happened with Persona 4. I bought Persona 4, and they're like, oh, it's Persona 4 Golden. I'm like, it was a Soken, Soken, FanFest, FanFest, all one word, and then Lahee, Lahee. I think it's like a 2 to 5 minute song of him singing it. But he does other stuff on FanFest too. Like that was the FanFest to promote Endwalker. But like the one he did in Endwalker, the one he did to promote Dawn Trail, and the ones he did to promote previous expansions, he is kind of funny. But yeah, the Lahee one is definitely his most iconic and memeable one. Yeah. That's Masayoshi Soken. I thought it was unique enough where just doing Soken FanFest Lahee would be enough, because Lahee in and of itself is pretty unique. You could probably just type FF14 Lahee, and you'll probably get his video to appear as well. Essentially what someone did is they just recorded, or actually no, the Endwalker one was on Twitch because of COVID. They didn't have the actual FanFest, so they did it all live, so it was super easy to record and get a clip of him doing that. Typically for their the musical performances, so every FanFest has one where the Soken and essentially Soken, the head composer, made a band out of the musicians of the people working on the music of Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, he's a funny dude. The music is really good. Like you could try. I think it's called Civilizations, the actual song title. I mean, you could probably just Google Final Fantasy XIV Lahee and look for but I think it's the official title is Civilizations. So if you do Final Fantasy XIV Civilizations, that will be the Lahee song in its original form. But yeah, Soken's a funny dude. Yeah, I mean, every now and then the Tomatones will pop up. You'll see them like using them to like play, classic songs, not really classic songs, but older songs. I think I saw an Tomatone version of Evanescence. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, and that's the cool thing is that song that he's, memeing on and singing incredibly poorly is just a background music of one of the zones. Yeah, exactly, that one. Raktika Greatwood is, that Lahee song is just the background. During the day, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. in-game, that song will just be playing in the background in that zone. And pretty much every zone has a night and day music. So there's music plays during the night and music plays during the day. With these start and stop time of 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Because there is a day and night cycle for the game. But it doesn't actually matter for the most part. It only just affects lighting, obviously, because it's darker during the night. And the music. But that is pretty cool, because that means each expansion introduces 6 zones. 6 zones means 6 day tracks, 6 night tracks. In addition to the new battle music, the new quest music. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Final Fantasy XIV music is really, really good. I really like it. Like, I have a few playlists of if I want something more rocky, like more rockish, versus something just more relaxed. Because, like, if you could try Googling the Primals. The Primals is the band that Soken is a part of. He essentially, made a band out of the musicians of that. So basically, at FanFest, what he and the other musicians of the game will, like, play the songs in their band. But it's, like, usually, like, more, well, not really metalish, but just more like rock songs that they'll play that are really good. So Primals is a good, cool thing. But then there's, like, a lot of instrumental pieces and stuff like that. I mean, I would say video game music in general is just good. Like there's, like, I just watched a YouTube video the other day saying just basically that, why video game music is better than the music you like. Just to say that, the music in video games is just really high quality. Not all of them, obviously, but, like, I'd say some of the better songs. I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased, obviously, but, like, I would say some of the best songs produced each year are mostly from video games. But I back that up with nothing. I have no reason to think that other than my biased perspective. But yeah, like, Final Fantasy just keeps pumping out new and good shit. I mean, I play Honkai Star Rail and Genshin. Both of those games produce some really cool songs. What I get? Where am I going to put that trophy? But yeah, as the expansion pops out, they release Blu-rays. Yeah. Generally, generally so. I'm a pretty optimistic kind of guy, so I'll just, like, I'll be able to enjoy whatever game I play. So, like, Starfield's a good example of that. So Starfield is kind of generally regarded as a kind of shit game. Although really it's not actually shit. I think just people are enjoying insulting them because insulting game. It's not bad, but it's not really that good either. It's just kind of average. But it really is, like, there are people who like the Bethesda games that really, really like the game. And that's, like, the target market. But, like, they try to appeal to so many people. Yeah, I think I might use the Chinchi Village. I have a playlist that I call the relaxation track, which I've just gone through literally every piece of music from Genshin and been like, okay, is this calming and nice and soothing? Yes? Okay, I'll throw it on my relaxation playlist. I usually have that playing while I work because it's just not too in your face and just kind of nice little background music to listen to. There was a lot of, and I really like the music in Fontaine is really cool. I like that whole style of Fontainian music. But then there's also a few Enkanomiya tracks. Like, there's a few tracks from Enkanomiya that had, like, slight variations. And I really like them all because they're just so peaceful and calming. Okay, so I did all that, right? Let's go to my home. When did that actually get called? It's 2015. Can I make that? I might be able to make that, actually. Well, the next... Well, I would say I'll try to log in after Tuesday, because it's the Lunar New Year patch. So they're giving away 10 free pulls if you log in for 7 days. They were also giving 3 additional pulls, but people absolutely were getting super pissed at how cheap they were. Shit, I think they already left. Oh no, they're still here. Okay. Okay, whatever. I'll just put up a PF. Mondstadt? Yeah, I mean, it depends on the style. Oh, fuck. Fuck off. Yep. Yeah, so Mondstadt, I mean, each has their own style. So there's obviously Mondstadt with its kind of a European aesthetic. There's Leeway, obviously, with the Chinese aesthetic, and Inazuma with the Japanese. Sumeru with a more Indian type. And Mondstadt with essentially French. Shit, am I gonna make it? Stay in. So, I mean, it just depends on the aesthetic you like. I mean, I do like that kind of, that architectural style. Yeah. Yeah, Mondstadt is definitely kind of more that, more Eastern Europe type vibe, where it's more pastoral and stuff. You could say Fontaine. I mean, obviously it's more French, obviously because of the names and all that stuff, but you could say it's more Western Europe. Yes, Western European cities type thing. And the architectural style of each is pretty cool, and I like the music for all of them. And then Natland's going to come out. Obviously, people are thinking it's probably going to be more like South American, perhaps. The general feel, but we'll have to wait and see. All these people just casually killing something. But yeah, this is what's known as a hunt train, where people have scouted out all the A-rank hunts in every one of the new zones. They announce it to everyone, and people hop servers. Like, this is on Diabolos, which is on my home server, so I hopped to this server so that I could participate in this hunt train. And so killing that gets me these tombstones. Shit, I should probably spend them before I cap. And since some of the tombstones are weekly capped, so it's like this is a really easy thing to do. It takes you very little time, very little effort. You just blast through killing these things. That someone else has scouted for you, so you just go from one to the next to the next to the next. And oh shit, I should probably get out of the fucking way. So it's definitely the easiest way to max out your tomes. But some people don't know about hunts or don't participate in them. But look at all these people. Oh yeah, like, so for instance, this mount I'm on, I got from one of the Extreme Trials. And the cool thing about the mounts that you get from the Extreme Trials is that they will play the music. Phase 1 or Phase 2, so it's kind of up to chance. It's not random, it'll pick one, either Phase 1 and Phase 2 and just play that. But it depends on what the developers decide. And it'll just play that music from the fight. Which is pretty cool, because some of that music is pretty damn epic. Now, the sucky thing is there are some times where you prefer one phase to the other. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's... like, the reason why there's so many players is because most of these players don't actually live on the server. Is because there's a Discord that announces when these trains are starting. So there will be some server transfers to come over and do these hunts. Or, they'll swap servers they'll just hop on over and quickly just go and come and do this. So it's not everyone from this server, but still, it's like, I mean, from what I was seeing in the instance transfer, there's about 100 people here. Like, now there's going to be some base people who are just naturally going to be in the instance, but we could estimate that. Oh yeah, this is one of the hunt mounts. I really like this one, but we could estimate there's about like 80 people doing this train. So yeah, there's a lot of people. And these trains like run multiple times a day usually, and so we usually get about this many. Obviously, like if it's at midnight, yeah, sure. Good luck finding 80 people at midnight who all happen to be up and want to do this. But it's not like, well, I mean, hunts. Yeah, it's harder. Like if a hunt train gets called, if you're on Discord, yeah, sure, you might be able to log into the game to do it. But usually, it's just like for the people who are already playing the game. They're like, oh, okay, I was going to actually queue up for this dungeon, but you know what? The hunt train just got called. I'll go and do that instead. So I'd say most of the people on this train would be logged into the game anyway. But you never know. Like for hunt trains, they usually give you like a few minutes before they start. So it is possible that someone, logged in specifically for it. But yeah, it just generally means there just are a bunch of people that play it. And they just happen to be on at the same time. Actually, oh no, yeah, I can't tell. Oh, so it gets everybody. Okay, so it gets more than... Darn. I was hoping I'd be able to tell how many people were in the server. Obviously I could have counted, but yeah, there's at least 50 people all doing this. Oh, there it is. And the cool thing about this, so the A ranks kind of pop in when you're relatively close. Oh, fuck. However, the S ranks, which appear less frequently and are generally bigger than this, you can actually see them from literally across the map. Like if you're flying and you just fly up directly from here, as long as it's not being obstructed by like an actual object, like it's not behind a building. If it was on an open plane from a distance, you can see it from like the opposite end of the map. So that is pretty cool. Oh, fuck. I should have waited. Well, yeah. It's definitely better now. I do know that they implement restrictions So like when we want to transfer servers, especially if like a lot of people are trying to transfer from one server to another, it puts a restriction that only like 4 people get transferred every few seconds. So if 100 people all try to do it at once, there is a queue that steadily progresses. And there's also an instance restriction. So if like 100 people all tried to teleport into an instance, there is a similar restriction. I don't think it needs to be there. I think they just manually put it in to prevent like the server from being overloaded. So there is that slight restriction. Yeah, like, so this isn't a huge hunt, but like there have been, when a new expansion comes out or when there's a lot of cool shit going on, we can see hunt trains, especially when you need to farm for tomes. You can see hunt trains that have like 200 people. And when 200 people try to transfer to one instance to continue with the train, yeah, you'll get stuck. So there are sometimes where the teleport will fail because the instance has been temporarily locked out to prevent oversaturation. So it'll only allow like a few people to teleport in at a time. So that does happen, but it's typically, it only happens when like, for hunt trains that have like 200 people all trying to do something like that. If you don't do hunt trains, you would never see that ever. Well, I guess maybe if you happen to want to teleport into a zone that a hunt train is going to, a really, really populated one, then yeah, you might get stuck. You might also get bogged down. Oh shit, it's gone. But yeah, like lots of people are all here. There is a render limit too, so there actually might be more people than I can see, but they'll render in as I get closer to them. That happens also with when there's huge hunt trains. Oh yeah, we're on the moon. Just a casual moon stream. But yeah, the areas are really good. I really like them. Some people complain that this game has loading screens, and I'm like, I'd rather have a brief loading screen and have this amazing fucking environment than have no loading screens and have unpopulated worlds full of nothing. Because that's the easiest way to have no loading screens. If you don't have to render anything, then it's super easy to render things as you go. I mean, you can get around it with really good optimization, but you'd have to rely on developers being really, 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 really good. Whereas if you just have a loading screen, they don't have to be as good, and they can focus on making it look pretty. But then I think also Starfield took it a little too far, where they have too many loading screens, and they shouldn't have that many. I got this mount for Christmas. There was a Christmas event. They gave you a reindeer, and it has an action skill. If you do it, it shoots out presents. Actually, and there's also a previous Christmas event where it gave you a bear and a Santa hat, and its action skill was throwing a present, and when it lands, it explodes into a little puff of smoke. There are people who do shaders. Like there was a popular shader known as G-Shade to improve the graphics, to make the colors pop a little more. But then G-Shade did something pretty shitty, where they just added malware into their thing because they were like pissed at a specific person doing something, and I think someone was using G-Shade in their mod to do something else, and so they added malware into G-Shade to essentially catch it and stop the mod from basically taking the G-Shade stuff. But then, of course, most gamers don't like it when you put malware into their free stuff So everyone got pissed and they stopped using it. Okay. And this is another song from a trial. And a great trial. Yeah, I mean, the trials and raids in this game are really good. They're mechanically complex. There are some people who complain that the classes have become easier. Yeah. Yeah, so basically this guy introduced malware and everyone was super pissed, so they were like, well, screw you, we're just going to find another shader. And so essentially G-Shade is dead. But yeah, I mean, there is stuff like that where it's shade. I mean, obviously it's a PC only thing, because you can't get stuff like that. So, and you obviously have a graphics card that can support doing that. But yeah, obviously if you get your computer to do a little bit of the heavy lifting, then yeah, sure, you can have a better game. But this is PS5, so this is out of the box, the default experience you will have. I want a hamster. But yeah, as you can see, this is super easy. I just need to do like three or four of these a week to max out my tombstones, and they can pop. Yeah, they can pop multiple times a day per server, and people announce them in multiple servers. So there's super easy to get max tombstones. That's why it's a pretty. It's not like so restrictive. It's not like the other games where you have to like grind and grind and grind. Like if you want to grind this, get gear from the Savage content, you can. If you're just not into Savage content, you can still get decent gear with tombstones, which you can get from doing a variety of things. So, like the Frontline Roulette I did, the Crystalline Conflict, all of those also gave tombstones. So I can do PvP, I can do dungeons, trials, raids. Each of the roulettes gives bonus. In the Duty Finder, there's roulettes to kind of encourage people to do old content too. So it makes it a really good environment for new players, because it's not an instance where you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, they're going there, I don't want to go. It's not an instance where you're a new player trying to get into the early dungeon, but no one else is playing the game and no one else is going to the dungeon, so you can't get in and do the dungeon. Because this game has this Duty Finder with these roulettes, and they because they have these Duty Finders with these roulettes, like the leveling roulette can get you any dungeon that you would typically do while leveling. So from leveling from 15 and above, if you chose the leveling roulette, you as like a level 80 could be put down into a level 15 dungeon and run it with some new people, right? Some people who just started the game. So, and same for like this and that. It's like using the Duty Finder is not complete dog shit. Like if you need to get into a dungeon and you want to run it, you can actually use the Duty Finder, because chances are someone was going to run a roulette that just happens to cover whatever you're trying to do, and you can get a group of people. Yeah. So they definitely encourage it. Like there's this MSQ roulette where basically there was these two sets of dungeons kind of that you had to do at the end of level 50 as you're beating the 2.0 A Realm Reborn story content. You had to do these things, and there were these 8-man dungeon type thing, and no one wanted to do them because they took forever. They took so long to do. So they added an MSQ roulette. So it's like, hey, cool, we'll give you these bonuses. Like, as you can see, I can get 350 of those tomestones, 100 of those, 50 of those, some money to do this. So it's like it encourages you. And but then there were some complaints because the rewards weren't that good, so it didn't encourage enough people. And people were skipping cutscenes and essentially just blasting through. So new players who were like watching the cutscenes that were happening through the dungeon would be left behind, while the experienced players would just power through, kill everything. And that actually was my experience when I first did the 2.0 story. I got in while I was watching a cutscene. They started the battle, and when my cutscene ended, the battle had ended. And there was essentially one point, especially at the end of the second long dungeon, that essentially kind of went from battle to battle to battle, and with cutscenes in between. And so essentially for the second half of that, didn't fight at all. Because I went from one cutscene immediately to the next one, because they'd already cleared the fight that triggered that cutscene, so it was just cutscene back to back. Now, some people complain about that. I was like, no, that's awesome. Like, I'm here for the story. Like, great, cool. Just show me all the cutscenes. Like, I don't need to do these fights. But there are some people who are like, oh, they don't like being left behind. And so what they did is they made the cutscenes non-skippable, which really deterred people from wanting to do these. But then they upped the rewards for doing the roulette to ridiculous levels, where you could get, essentially doing this one roulette, if you got the second of the two dungeons, you get half of the total experience you need to level. So if you needed 10 million experience to get to the next level, getting the MSQ and getting the second longer dungeon would give you half of that. It would give you 5 million experience. So the MSQ roulette was, so ridiculous. And so, of course, it encourages now people to play, to go back and do this. So, like, for new players, like, no matter what you're doing, there's some roulette that people are doing just for experience or tomestones that will just have older, experienced players get paired with new players who are just starting out the game. So you're never really screwed, really. You never get to a dungeon. I mean, there might be some dungeons that are less popular, so you have to rely only on the roulette people, but there's usually enough people. And this duty finder is polling everyone in the data center. So it's polling everyone within the 8 servers that I'm currently in. The 8 servers within the data center I'm currently in. So, yeah, it's definitely new player friendly. And then people in general are pretty friendly. Like, if you ask questions around, you can just ask in shout chat. People usually respond. Or if you get into a guild, there's a guild chat for you to do that. There's also even a novice network chat. I think I have it disabled, but you can see there's this novice network. So if you just ask someone if you have a little sprout above your head, you can be asked to be into the novice network and ask your questions there, and typically people will answer them. As well as, like, some people just use it just to chat around random stuff. But either way, there's always some people around to ask. And oh yeah, I'm in Diablos. I can't use that. Who is that? Who was... Oh, they're there. And also, if you're a bard, if you start as an archer, if you get to level 30, you can do the job quest to become a bard. You can play whatever music you want in the game. It gives you a keyboard and a variety of instruments to play, and you can play whatever. I never do it because I suck at that, but I could in theory. See, I can be art. a piano, a lute, an oboe, a flute. Here's my... Oh, okay, so that's what the interface looks like. So yeah, and that's a music interface. I never tried it before, but I guess... Yeah. Whoops. I want to get out, not play anything. But yeah, obviously it's slightly easier on a computer because like you have a keyboard instead of a controller, and there definitely are some people who use mods to quote unquote cheat and essentially auto play a song by having, you know, log key presses probably would be my guess. That's why Limsa is such a great place, because there's always a lot of people here, because this is by far the most convenient city, because it has the Aetheryte, which you can transfer to other servers. It has the market board right next to it, just right down that hallway, and a summoning bell where you can summon your retainers who hold your extra inventory shit, all within very close to... And this is the main Aetheryte, so this is where you would teleport. If you were teleporting to Limsa, you would teleport into here. And the other three main cities you could start from are not that convenient. But, I mean, it's not a huge issue. Like, your starting class determines what city you start in, but once you get to level... Once you're doing the MSQ, the main story quest for, like, 10 or something like that, maybe 10 or 15, essentially it takes you to all two of the... So whatever city you start in, the main story will take you to the other two, or you can attune to the Aetheryte and then teleport there whenever. So you can just, you know, choose to just go to this one forever for convenience sake. But yeah, fun game. And there's the player housing, where you can decorate all the shit. And people, as part of the player housing, will form their own clubs and shit. So if you go to... Well, let's see, that guy's painting. Is there any... I guess no one... I guess I haven't been hanging out here long enough, but... Some people will advertise their... essentially a club, so in your home, you can play any of the music. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously this ages poorly, because it is an old game. Like, some of the character models, I mean, this armor is new, so it looks pretty good. But some of the older stuff looks dated. Some of the textures look a little pixelated. But usually you can only kind of notice that if you, like, zoom really far in, which a lot of MMOs don't really do, or also have the same problem. And the biggest issue, just as an MMO, you don't want to have things be too complicated and complex, because at the end of the day, the server has to tell the client, hey, load all these objects. And the client has to be able to actually load all those objects into memory and, you know, have the graphics card do all their shit. But simultaneously, they want to appeal to as many people as possible. So they want to make a game that has low enough minimum specs that enough people can play it. But the problem, of course, with that is that, like, people with really good PCs, you know, they can play the game, like, they can play two of the game simultaneously because of how powerful their setup is. So it's just like, yeah, it's a tough balancing act where you have to make it detailed enough to be interesting and cool, but also not that detailed so that more people can play it. But either way, the 7.0 patch is going to do a graphics update, which is actually going to update the character models, all the player character models, and all sorts of other shit. So, like, even though, I mean, I would say this looks really good, especially compared to some of the MMOs. So there are some, like, Korean ones. Like, I think BDO can have more realistic, detailed environments, but their optimization is absolute dog shit. So, like, assets will just pop in as you're, like, walking down, which is, you know, bad. Like, you're not supposed to have poppin', because that just means you didn't optimize the game properly. And it just looks tacky, but... Wait, what? Yeah, but I think this does look good. I like how it looks. I think it looks pretty detailed. I think the variety of shit they have in the game is really cool. So they have player housing, and they just keep like adding new shit to it. They're like, oh yeah, here we added this new housing object, and the unfortunate thing is there's a limit on housing objects, my house is full, so I can't put all the stuff I want into my home because they introduced this new cool thing. I'm like, oh shit, I can't add it. My home is full. But they said eventually at some point they're going to increase the limit. Yeah, there's problems with an MMO. Obviously, there's server limits. It's how much load the server can handle and how well they've optimized the game and all sorts of caveats that most gamers don't think about or realize. And they just want like the best of the best. Like, oh, just give me a game that has everything with none of the disadvantages. Completely ignore the restrictions of hardware and technology. And just... Like, so for instance, Final Fantasy 16 has even better graphics than this. But you could never... And so you get some people who are like, geez, why can't 14 have the graphics of 16? This is like... Because 16 is a single-player game, there's no way in hell you could load graphics that detailed in an MMO without exploding everyone's PC. Because, like, sure, like, well, you can load an area, that's fine, but like, it has to be a big area that you can go to, so it's a lot of assets, have to be optimized perfectly. And then, of course, once you have 100 character models, all that look ridiculously detailed, it's just a huge load. And only, like, the people who have, like, $4,000 PCs could actually afford that. And, like, well, you're never going to make an MMO successful if only people who have $4,000 PCs can play. So yeah, you just get a lot of people ask these crazy, silly things. Oh yeah, let's put my trophy in my home. I might have enough space for a trophy, perhaps. Oh, someone visited my home. Yeah, let me buy your house. Yeah, because getting a large home is ridiculously difficult. Not only is it expensive, in-game, it costs 50 million gil. I only have 38 at the moment. Which takes you, I mean, like, obviously as a new player, you're not going to get that quickly, but like if you play the game for a long time and, if you craft stuff and sell it, you can make gil pretty easily. But it still takes time. And effort. You just don't fall into it. You actually have to craft or gather and then sell the stuff you're crafting and gathering, and selling high level stuff, when it's current and new. And so it's it's an endeavor in and of itself. But people like doing that. And now that the homes are in the lottery, anytime any large home goes for sale, you have a shitload of people all throwing themselves in the lottery. Yeah, here's my sexy character. Yeah. So yeah, you can have a lot of people. Obviously, like, it depends. It's actually, these are actual people, so they have to like come in and actually like check it out. And I've had a few people. Oh yeah, so there's me. So I bought this home in May of 2018. Or at least maybe that's when they introduced message books. I forget if they had message books. They had created message books. But yeah, like, you can make couches, you can make a little orchestra. They have a lot of furnishing items. These are some of the more special ones. So like that's one of the extreme trials. That's a Realm Reborn fight. That's Bahamut, which you might have seen in other Final Fantasies. He's a raid boss. This is a boss from Realm Reborn 2. This is something you can craft by beating one of the current expansion's extreme battles, and you can craft. They can drop an item, and you can craft this with that item. That's also another extreme boss drops something you can craft. This is another extreme boss drops something you can craft. These, I don't think they're drops, but essentially these are also from trials. Ruby weapon from 7, Sapphire weapon, Emerald weapon, Diamond weapon, all homages to Final Fantasy VII's weapons. This guy is an extreme trial. Dex, another extreme trial. Extreme trial, extreme trial, and extreme trial. This is a Fate, and also a classic Final Fantasy fight, Behemoth. Extreme trial, dungeon boss. That looks cool. These two are also extreme trials, as well as this is a raid boss. So yeah, you can craft all sorts of little shit. And there's all sorts of little trophy items you can craft too. So, a lot of stuff to decorate. Actually, wait a minute. How much space do I have in my home? I have literally no space. I have 400 to 400 items. Shit. Huh. Which one of these is a duplicate? Oh no, I put him there. But that, god damn it. I don't think I have duplicates anymore. Crap. Well, whatever. I guess I don't have space for my trophy. That's a shame. Yeah. Essentially, crafting. Carpenter has a lot, probably. So, like, yeah, here's a bunch of fixtures. So here's like exteriors, interiors, like wall type stuff, windows. Here's some things you can make for outside as a carpenter. Here's some more indoor furnishings, a variety of furniture, obviously. I think there's en.ff14housing.com shows how they look in game. Like has taken pictures of character models and stuff. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can get. Some things you can only get by getting items that drop from extreme fights. Usually not many. It's just usually a few trophies or something like that that you can craft. But then there's also just base, generic type of stuff. I mean, people have done some amazingly cool things decorating homes in this game. Like they go for a theme and they just like pack in all this stuff. Usually use glitches to like layer things in ways that wouldn't technically work if you're on like playing it normally, but it is nice to see some of the cool shit that people get around to. And also, there's the Orchestrion, where you can play any of the game. You can play any of the music. So you have an Orchestrion list, and these are all the songs in the game, essentially. There might be a few that don't exist in the they might exist in the game, but you don't have an Orchestrion role for it. But essentially, these are all the tracks that you can get from various locales. These are dungeons soundtracks from, I think maybe Realm Reborn to Shadowbringers, or maybe Realm Reborn to Stormblood, and this is Shadowbringers and Endwalker. These are the trial songs, raid songs, more raid songs, random ambient songs they just added for no reason, songs you just get from quests, an assortment of other ones too. Seasonal ones you can get from just doing seasonal events or buying them on the mod shop now, and only ones you can buy online. And if you have a home, you can get an apartment too and to play this, and you can get an Orchestrion and play any of the songs that you've gotten a roll for, which you can buy on the market board or farm yourself. So there is a lot of shit to do in this game. I'm not actually sure. I think it might vary from PC to console too. I think it might be about that. It might be like 50 gigs, but I'm not sure. Like I don't download it on my PC, and I'm not sure how much there is on my. I would guess around 80. But I think from the last time I looked through my storage. Yeah, but I think it's probably the same console or PC. I think it's about 80. But it's also kind of hard to tell because you can like download the game. I mean, so if you get the free trial, I would say it's probably not going to be that bad because I don't think they'll install everything. I think it'll only install the assets for the base game and the next two expansions. Whereas if you then after playing through the free trial, if you then bought the game, it would try to download all the remaining expansions. And then, of course, regardless of how big it is now, like, it's going to go through a graphics update shortly. And so, yeah, sure, like, let's say it's 80 now. Maybe the graphic update increases it to 90 or 100. It's hard to say. Yeah, Google search says installing it takes about 80 gigs, so I would assume less for... I mean, I assume they will obviously compress the new assets, because MMOs are... MMOs have to be incredibly careful about that shit, because that's the best way to improve performance and retain storage space with good compression. But yeah, it seems like the full game is around 80, but I think the free trial will probably be less because I don't think it'll download all the assets for all expansions, just the ones you would have as a free trial holder. So it'll probably be less than 80, but either way, I've been streaming for a while. I'm going to go ahead and shower. I guess I've been walking for 2 hours, so I probably need to take a break. It was nice chatting with you. I probably will be on later. I'll have to do my Genshin dailies regardless, but then I might be going for the Platinum Trophy in Miles Morales, because I beat the game, and I just need to do New Game Plus, and there's a few other random trophies that don't actually seem that hard to get, so I might aim for Platinum today. But thanks for watching, and I'll throw this on YouTube once I'm done. And see you next time.